have discussed about like few various algorithms for classification, right? So let's discuss one more algorithm which was like quite popular and also very effective in classification. So which was called support vector missions, or SVM. We call shortly as SVM. So let's discuss on this today. Okay. So let's see like what it will be different from previous classifiers. So let me, okay, this is one data and this is one more data. So we need is like a kind of a boundary which should be separating this classes versus the other class, right? So something like this we need, right? So if it is a two-dimensional, we call it like a line, like decision boundary is a line like which will separate these two classes. And if it is a three-dimensional, it will be a plane, right? So if it is a three-dimensional, it will be a three-dimensional as well, right? So this will also come in three-dimensional, right? So and like it goes on like it is a four-dimensional. Again, like it's a play four-dimensional plane. Okay, but for simplicity, we are actually discussing more about like in two-dimensional. Let's also do the same like for this as well. So okay, so what actually is the difference between other classifiers and support vector is okay. So if you take the classifiers, right? So let's talk about this as well. So okay, like you have few zeros here and you have few crosses here, and you are trying to separate a line, right? So if you take this, if you want to draw a line, so do you like are you seeing these or like only these? So are the ones which are nearer to them, are they more important? Are the ones like which are farer, are they more important? Which are nearer, right? Like if you just have only these things, uh, if you don't have all those, just have only these things, still you will be able to draw a line, right? So still you will be able to classify that, I guess, right? So, but in case if you have more here, that's okay. Like it is getting classified, but just that mainly the ones which are closer, the ones which I highlighted in green, these are the ones which are actually like important to draw this decision boundary. If you want like more much more precise, like only this from here and from here only this, right? So if you have only these two and if you can separate those two, that would be enough for this decision boundary. Like say that you draw something in middle and like it actually had separated these like this thing versus this thing separate, right? So what we call is like what are these nearer ones, we call those like which are nearer to each other, which can separate two classes. We call these as support vectors. So this, and which are closer, you can have multiple. Maybe always you can't say there is only one. You can have multiple. These we call as support vectors. So in SVM, instead of like taking whole like all the data points, like they will concentrate like find out what identify what are the support vectors, and then from those support vectors, it will try to draw a decision boundary. Okay, that is the main difference between like other classifiers versus this SVM. Okay, so what they try to do is like main thing like as I uh, discussed before, main thing is like to kind of okay. Let me draw only these two now. Okay, these are there like, but I'm only drawing these two. So what we have to do is have like in case if you take this, let's say here I'm drawing a line which I'm saying this is the last boundary for having zeros. Okay. Similarly, I'll also draw one more line saying that like this is the last boundary for having like class 1, like this is class 0, let us say this is class 1. So let us say like this is last boundary for having class 1. Okay, so all those classes will happen this side, all these classes will happen this side. Okay, this is how, like if you think like then our decision boundary should be taken as a kind of midpoint between these two. Let us say you have these two, the midpoint line will be our decision boundary. Okay, so this is the kind of approach which will be followed for SVM, like to find out the decision boundary. Okay, so one challenge is like identifying this support vector machine. So, but that can be done easily, because like if you can compare like all the data point and see like which are closer to each other and there are no other data points in between. So that way, like there can be some kind of heuristics with which you can find out which are the support vectors, right? Once the support vectors are identified, then what you should be doing is like the support vector for 0 will have one boundary. Like think that this is one like we call it as margin. So this is one line which will separate these classes. And similarly, we also have one more line which will separate the other class. Okay, so now main idea behind because like we always have an algorithm, right? Like this is a learning algorithm always. So what is an object to, like in case of previous examples, what we have is a kind of a loss function, and we try to minimize the loss. Similarly, what can be the objective here is, so we have to maximize this margin, like the width between these two. If it is wider, more wider, then it means it is separating those two classes very well, right? So if they are very close, let us say if it is like this and the second one is like this, so then actually it's not very confident of identifying it, right? So we can't say that it is doing good. So our objective would be of this SVM would be to maximize this width. If you what width you have, like this you have to maximize. Okay, so okay, let's formulate how the loss function would be. Okay, so let's try to formulate in mathematical way, like how actually loss function looks, and how, let's derive that. Okay, so let's say your y will be like wx plus b. That is your decision boundary. Let's assume this way. Okay, this red line here. Let's say this is your decision boundary. Okay, so y equal to wx plus b. And okay, so what we have is like if it is less than 0, wx plus b, let's take a line here, and y equal to wx plus b. If it is less than 0, this comes this side, right? If it is greater than 0, this comes this side. Let's say like greater than 0 is on the right side and less than 0 is in left side. Okay, so if you take this line, so and this line, so this will be y equal to wx plus b plus 1. Okay, similarly, wx plus b minus 1. So take these two as these two lines, and what we have to do is now our objective is to find out what is the width between these two, and say that like we are maximizing that. Okay, that will be our that is how we'll be approaching. So how we'll be doing it is, so this is a one like wx. So okay, this is this thing, and the line here is this, and line here is this. So what we should do is like the difference between these two lines. We have to find out the distance between these two lines, which will be wx plus b minus 1 minus wx plus b. It will be slightly different actually. Like what we do is instead of directly doing it, like we'll be normalizing it. So then what you'll be having is w wx plus b plus minus of wx. I think it is minus b. I think just a moment. Let, so this actually will be represented slightly different. Let me write that. So weight x plus b instead of writing w, like because if you remember, we are representing our regression like in all things like y equal to theta transpose x. It is similar to that. Like this is also like w is actually a kind of theta, which can be a series. Like so, let's represent it in a kind of a matrix here. So what we have is the for let's call this as like positive or like class one support vector. This is your and similarly this is your class two support vector. So what we have is wx plus b equal to plus one is support vector for class g. It will be class one for class one class plus. Similarly, wx plus b equal to minus one for class minus. So these are two different lines. Okay. So for these two different lines, what we have to do is we have to calculate the distance between them. So distance, like how we have to do is we have to substitute that like this value here, like and this value for here in their class equations, and then what we should do is like take difference by taking the normalization. Okay. So what it will have is, so here w like b will get cancelled here. So if you take a difference, so of x plus minus x, this like we have it like zero, right? X zero plus. So I'm substituting this x value for this and x value for this and taking the difference between them. And because we have to take like divided by the modulus, like if you take ax plus b, so modulus will be root over a square plus b square. That norm like modulus we have to have here. So like this it is. So this will be the distance between two lines, these two lines. Okay. So if you take this, what will happen is like this is transpose, right? So let's say this is W. Usually, like what will have is this will be W and this will be W. So what will like this is a kind of a distance, right? So transpose into like what you have here is also a kind of a W here. So just a moment, like here, if you see this, what you'll have is a kind of, see this is Wx for class zero. Let me write that equal to 1 minus b wx b minus equal to minus 1 minus b. So if you are subtracting these two, so this is this, right? So wx plus wx0 divided by plus w. So what you have here is you are subtracting these two. What you will have like 1 minus b minus of minus 1 minus b. So it will be like b will get cancelled and you'll have 2. This is the distance between two lines, between two margins. We call it like, let's call it as margins. So finally we have this value. Okay. So this is what actually we require. So so our objective function is to minimize, sorry, maximize this distance, right? So not minimize, maximize 2 by w. Let's write it as max 2 by w. Okay. So
Ajit,
this,
Ajit,
uh, sorry. Okay, so what actually this line will do is, how we calculate this line is based on these two margins. So after you have these two margins, so this is the margin, this is the decision boundary, right? So how we'll calculate this margin is,
first thing is like with the regression, we draw
hmm,
a line, right?
hmm, Yeah,
So
yeah.
that line, that's the line we calculate first, and then the margins are the other way.
No, no. Actually, in linear regression, sorry, in logistic regression and other classification methods, we only have
Mm-hmm.
this decision boundary. So
Mm-hmm.
we actually don't calculate margins. Like that concept is only there in support vector machines. So these
Mm-hmm.
support vector machines provide a new way of calculating this decision boundary. How they will do is
Mm-hmm.
initially they will identify these boundary vectors, which we call it as support vectors. So
Okay,
then they
okay.
will
So this is
calculate.
okay.
This
So
is
this
one line.
is a different technique compared to the.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is completely different technique. So what they will do here is they will find
Okay.
out this lines, these two lines. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So these two
Mm-hmm.
we call it as margins. Let's call these lines are margins. So and after getting these two lines, the midpoint between these two lines, like
Mm-hmm.
which was equidistant from these two, we call it.
Mm-hmm.
We draw the boundary like that is the decision boundary. So from these you
Okay.
calculate.
How they will calculate this margins first?
So that's what like what they have to find is, let us say you have more zeros here. Let me draw. Like you have more zeros like this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And there are many plus here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what they will identify is the kind data, like which, like actually, like are these more significant or are these more significant? Which are closer are
Mm-hmm.
more significant, right? Because like
Mm-hmm.
actually your line will get impacted by this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they will
Mm-hmm.
identify which are closer to each other, which are closer to one. These other class, like these clusters and these things,
Mm-hmm.
like which are closer to each other. Then they will say
Mm-hmm.
these are your support vectors. Okay, there
Okay.
for simplicity I draw only one, but it can be
Mm-hmm.
multiple. Okay, so let
Mm-hmm.
us assume like in this example, this one which I highlighted here. Let me highlight in other color. So this one which I am highlighting here are the two ones which are very close to each other and they can decide separation between them. So then what they do
Mm-hmm.
is they calculate this line. So this is a margin. Okay, if you
Mm-hmm.
know this x value, know this x, right? So this x value,
Mm-hmm.
if they have wx plus b minus 1, this will be your what you say equal to minus 1. This will be your line 1. So this line for
Mm-hmm.
0 class. Similarly, you know this x value, right? This x value,
Mm-hmm.
if you substitute in this line equation, you get the line 2. Not to substitute,
Okay.
no need of substitute. Like this will be the line
Mm-hmm.
2, this will be the line 1. Okay. So with this,
Mm-hmm.
you have these two, but finally we have to find out this W, right? That is what means like in our case, like theta. So
Correct.
those
Correct.
parameters which it should be learned automatically. So these are the two
So.
margins
Mm-hmm.
from which they learn. So our idea is to maximize these two. Okay, because like you don't know
Mm-hmm.
this W, right? This W we have to find it by
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe if you have this zero, right? But
Mm-hmm.
initially if you keep zeros, you may get a instead of having this line like this, you may get some line like this, and then the
Mm-hmm.
second line also like this. But this is not like having proper width. Okay, so you have to find the W. The W is what we are learning. Like in our previous example, we represented it by theta. So theta is what we have to learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that we will be learning
Okay.
by
So.
this equation.
Uh, so in this method, first they will find out the margins and then the distance between the margins, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So this is all part
Uh,
of derivation.
uh,
In while practical, like
mhm,
you won't be doing all this. This is how like actual it is done. This is the
mhm.
mathematics behind it. Okay. So what we
Okay.
have is finally the objective function as maximize this part. So usually till now we worked in all the most of the problems only to minimize the loss, right? So usually we did not work on something like where we are maximizing something. So what we do is for a kind of simplicity, we convert this into minimization. So how what we'll do is we'll minimize this one instead of maximizing this. Like both would be same, right? So if you have like one maximize 1 by x, it is similar to minimize x. Both will be similar. Why? Because So if you are increasing this, okay, minimizing this, right? So x value previously is 100. You made it like x value to 10. What is happening at this level? 1 by 100, then 1 by x is 1 by 100, which will be 0.01. So n by x, like when it is made 10, it will be zero point 0.1. Here it has increased, right? So it is maximizing only, right? So if you minimize this, it is like maximizing this. So what we do is like we minimize this W norm square instead of like this, because like we've seen like these kind of examples mostly, so we can follow the same and apply gradient descent or whatever, like it will be the same process. Okay, but like this actually, like it will be it is like 1 by denominator, right? So if you take gradient descent as a derivative, it will be like 1 by x square, so it will get complicated. So instead, like if you, instead of having it in a denominator, if you have it in just like numerator like this, so actually this will be much better. Okay, so and it is easy to do it. So instead of doing that, we do it like for this. Okay, so this will be your objective function. This is how, like our objective is like take your data, minimize this thing, apply gradient descent. Like this is a loss, like which you were thinking. Okay, this is a loss. Think it as loss. So you minimize this loss, and then finally you update the theta value. Then follow the same techniques like what we used to do earlier. Right? So it's the same repetition, just that like your loss function is quite different from previous. Okay, so because like if you take logistic regression, we had some log of y log y true like actual log prediction plus 1 minus 5 into log 1 minus 5, something like this, right? So this is like quite different from that. So we have this as a loss function. Okay, so this is about like how we use like SVM, but there is like very much very important part to discuss about it. So what we it is like let us say here it is two dimensional, right? So when it is three dimensional or very higher dimension, let's take a kind of example where we have, like I think we discussed this example, but and there are, okay. So can we get a kind of a decision boundary here? So can we do the separation something like these margins like this? So how can we do it? Like we can think of something like this. So by within our mind that like there can be something like this and there can be something like this, and the between one can be a decision boundary, right? So this actually works like when you have a non-linear like line here. But what we did, like we took it as a kind of a linear equation. So but anyway, like you can have multiple of these things, but this is not linear, right? So maybe this is okay. Like there may be some like more different examples where you can't easily represent your data, like can't separate your data. Maybe something like this, 0 0 0, something like this. So in this case, not this. This is a different example. It's not drawing this. So okay. So in this case, like how can you separate? Like you don't feel like you have some kind of a relation where you can separate these two, right? So that is not clearly possible in two dimension. But maybe if you take it to higher dimension or transform it to some other dimension, maybe then you will be able to classify it. So what will happen is like it's not just two dimensional, any dimensional. If you represent it in some other space, okay. So take the example of this only. Like let's have this example where this is not linearly separable, right? So if you take this is not at all linearly. If you want to separate it on basis of a straight line, it's not possible. Like we can do it in a non-linear fashion, but it's not possible with a straight line, right? So instead of x, let's take x square and y square as your axis. So here x and y, let's say. So now or x1, x2 instead of taking y. So let me take x1 square and x2 square as your line. So then what will happen is, so this is something like which were less than your x1 square or x2 square are in some range, if you actually represent it in this way, so you will have something like this. If you represent in x square, x1 square, and x2 square, if you want to represent, so you will have a clear kind of a separation. So what we had here, the same way you will have it here. Okay, some kind of a decision boundary, and then you will be able to do the same process what we had earlier, right? So identifying the support vectors and then finding out a margin on the both sides, let us say this one, and then like with this you find out this decision boundary. So this way you will be able to do. So how are you able to do it? You transformed your data from the dimension to a different dimension. If it is like this one, when we will be following you, like if data is not linearly separable, then different dimension to get it separable. Okay, so this is what will happen here. Like if you instead of x1 x2, if you represent it in axis of x1 square x2 square, then what you have is a kind of a linearly separable data, right? So that's what we'll do. Like we call this kind of represent, like this kind of method where you transform your data from one like one kind of dimensions to another dimension. We call it as kernels. Like we call this method as, so in this case kernel is x square. So it is a kind of a function. You apply some function which you are changing it, right? So previously it is x1 x2, you are passing it through a function and getting some different dimension. Write it like z1 z2. This is your new function where in this case, like previous case, what you have is your f of x is kind of x square, so which you use it to transform your x1 into x1 square, similarly this into this, and you found out a linearly separable. But in most cases it won't be just like a square or something, it can go to a very high dimension. So we call these as kernels, which will transform your data into different dimensions. We call that as kernels. And then like, okay, this is kernel space, this is actually your data space. So this is there. So this is one more thing which we should be learning, like actually, so let's say some data you have, like, and you are not able to find proper separation. So let me talk about like something like this. So you know, like the e power x is one more kind of a kernel space. What you have is like f of x equal to, let us say, e power x. So you can also have it in this kind of way where previously x1 x2 now will get transformed to e power x1 e power x2. So why actually here maybe x square is sufficient. Okay, in some cases maybe x cube is sufficient, so on, right? So it can be a combination as well. So if you take e power x, so there is one expansion like by Taylor series where e power x will be like 1 plus x square by factorial 2 plus x cube by factorial 3, so on, right? So you have still infinite dimension. If you can expand it to infinite, so e power x is actually this. So if you take this, actually previously maybe some x like something like x cube and so on, right? Like this can actually some, maybe some case some combination of these two. So but if you still did not find anything, maybe something like this where it will have like infinite dimension. It is actually transforming your data into something like infinite dimension may work in some cases. So this is one way like people use it, like why e power x is actually significant for kernels is like this. So, but it won't be directly e power x. I'll be talking about that again. So, this is one way to, in case if your data is not linearly separable, like you transform it into different dimension and then make it linearly separable and use SPM. Okay, so this is one concept. One popular kernel is like radial basis kernel. Okay, so just Okay. So what radial basis kernel, like we shortly call it like RBF kernel. Okay. So the how it will be is like some like we represent it with K kernel. So x comma x dash equal to x minus x dash. So this is a formula for it. So what this have is like actually the significance of this radial basis kernel is the same thing, like you have exponential means e power thing right here. So what this e power thing, as I told you before, so you can actually e power x is like 1 plus x square so on, right? So till infinite dimension. So actually you will be able to get a kind of a infinite dimension kind dimensional relation as well here, like previously maybe x square if it is not sufficient, x cube, a combination of these things, right? So similarly you can have a kind of representation where x like infinite dimension. So where your x is your value and x dash is a support vector in your support vector in your data, and then with that like you calculate this one, and this sigma is a kind of a standard deviation, like which is a kind of a parameter what you have. So with that you actually calculate dimension here and you represent it in this form, like previously is x and you now represent it in like e power x minus x dash. This is a distance actually, like previous one is how much is it how what is the distance from that point to the support vector. So that is the significance of it. So okay, so now you have this. With that you'll be able to represent your data x in a different combination of format, which is a kind of infinite dimensional here. So and you will be able to get it linearly separable. So and use this, and once it is done, your data actually now it will look like this. So after representing it in a linear in a red RBF kernel, your data will look something like this, and it will be linearly separable. Okay, so this is a kind of a concept which will be used. Now till now, like what we have shown is a kind of a perfectly separation, right? So you have all zeros here and all this here, but in reality like even you accept it in logistic regression that there will be a kind of like misclassification happening, right? You always can't get this kind of a perfect classification. Maybe some kind of because of like wrongly entering your data or something, you may have something like here and you may have few here, right? This can also be possible. So but if you have this here and you have this here, like what will be the case, like here the support vector will be here this side, and here the support vector will be this side, right? So how actually like it is completely different. What we think is like this side is all like zeros and this side is all ones, but here you have some kind of a misclassification. So and your support vector is completely like different. So what we think is from this side you will assume that from this side you will have some different like you'll have a margin, but it is on the other side. So these kind of issues will come up. So what we have is kind of exempting like few things, we call it as, so we say that like these are slack variables. We introduce the concept of slack variables here. So okay, so we represent it in this with this letter. So okay, taking this, what does this slack variable actually mean? Like let's say this is the data, and similarly this is the data. So let us say you have two variables on the other side and two variables here. So these slack variables, what does it represent is a kind of like how many variables like which you can ignore from your margin. Okay, so if even if it is misrepresented, how many can be ignored? So in this case, maybe this is a better separation margin here. Maybe that one as well, like that is also fine. So, but okay, let me remove this. Okay, so this is a better represented margin here. And similarly, for the other case, this will be the better represented margin in this case, right? So you are actually ignoring these. So this and this you are ignoring, and similarly this you are ignoring, right? For your margin. So these are called as like slack variables. What actually will be different is like your previous representation y equal to x plus b equal to plus 1, and one more line is like equal to minus 1, right? So now what will happen is, so this will actually happen here. So you will have this one more line which will actually extend your this thing to some other way. Okay, so something like this. So this is like very far, like you can't have till that far. Actually, it slightly gives a kind of a soft margin. So even though if it is within this, like you make it like a this class, and even though if it is this side, okay, you have this other side. So even though if it is within this range, you call it like zero. Even though if it is this range, you call it like as plus, something like this. It will extend your lines like to some extent on the other side, a kind of like shifting the margin. So this is what you have. And finally, your objective function. Previously, like what you have is like objective function is like minimize square, right? Now it will add with some kind of zeta with slack square. Okay, this zeta square. So this is what you have at this level. So this will be the objective function include with where you'll also include the slack variables. Okay, so this C actually is a kind of a parameter within our SVM. So where you have like C as infinity, like very high value, then minimization. If you want to minimize this, if it is very high value, so let's not call infinity. Let's say 1,000. Okay, so this is a kind of 1,000. Okay, so even if this is slightly higher, so this complete value will be very high because you are multiplying with a higher value. So what your algorithm will try is to make it almost to zero. So very high, mostly like nearer to infinity. This zeta value, it will try to have it as zero. It will try to minimize this complete term. Okay, and it will not concentrate. It's just a kind of a regularizer what you have L1, L2 regularization concept, right? It is similar to that. It is like it will try to make this value completely towards zero, and your C value is zero, then it means it will not allow like this complete value is zero, right? Again, you have don't have anything. So even though you have like any value of slack variable, it will only concentrate to minimize a W, just like previous example, right? So this is what you have. Like this is a different kind of scenario here. So this is about support vector machines. So this will be used like let's talk about like advantages and disadvantages here. So where it can be used, like let's talk about usage. So when we'll use this, like this is one doubt because like we have like so many different kind of algorithms, right? So when to use what is actually a kind of a doubt like which everyone will have. So when SVM can be used this, like you can see from the kind of algorithm of your SVM that it will try to depend only on the support vectors, right? So what you can have is, so even here, even if you have like so many data points, it's of no not much use, right? So what you have is mainly the support vector. So what we can have is like even though data is small, not small, let's call it as less data, can be used for lesser data. Okay, because as it uses only support vectors for learning. Okay, so this is what like which will decide your margin, right? So actually, when you have only a few data points, so still like you'll be able to, let's say you have only these four, only you have these. Okay, still this is sufficient to draw margins and then maximize this data, right? So actually, smaller data sets will, like, we use SVM. We can use SVM for smaller data sets. Okay, so this is a main important point. And this actually, if you use it for larger data sets, so what happens is this computation of like representing in a different kernel space, and the that computation actually will have, and again like calculation of support vectors, the computation is actually very expensive, so takes very long time. So not recommended. Okay, so when you have a smaller data set, you go for this, and when you have larger data set, you go for this one. So, and one more thing is, like, accuracy will be high. So actually, because instead of taking all the considering all the points, it is identifying the support vectors and trying to classify it. So usually accuracy of SVM will be pretty high compared to other classifiers. So that is one big advantage of using SVM. Okay. So yeah, that's it. I think, like, but only concern is when there is a large data. So it's not recommended because like it will take a lot of time, like maybe in many couple of hours, like it may take like couple of hours. So actually it's not much recommended in that kind of scenario. Okay, so this is about it for support vector mission. So